People often wonder why children or just simple people see visions and see saints and sages or visions of Mary or Jesus or holy people. And yet, intelligent people that are right there, bright, high IQ souls, see nothing. So I often wondered about that myself. I was in India in 2011 and I had a major heart attack uh, when I was following my guru around India, introducing him at various venues from Pune to Mumbai. And at one of the events, I collapsed and had actually had an heart attack and went to ER and everything. I was released to go home, come back to the United States. I went back to the ashram and I was going to spend a few days there waiting for my flight. But the guru's wife felt that what was wrong with me was more serious than the doctors or anyone knew, and it turned out she was right. But she wanted me to leave that evening and go back to their home in Pune and spend the next couple of days with them under their care, and so they could be there to handle anything that happened. Well, the last evening there at the ashram, there was about four of us, maybe five of us in the kitchen area, the dining hall, and we were sitting there, and I felt somebody staring very lovingly at my back. You know, when you're in a movie theater, you know, when somebody's staring at you behind your seat, it was that feeling, except it was a gentle, loving, blissful feeling. And I turned around, I looked back, and I saw something. And so, realizing that I've had all these heart attacks and maybe I'm delusional and crazy stuff's going on and, you know, maybe I'm dying or something, I looked around the group and says, anybody see anybody standing beside me or behind me here? And this young lady that was there, who was new to the path of yoga and meditation, she goes, I don't see anything there. You're crazy. What's going on? There's nothing there. I said, okay. And then there was a young man named Mark who was from Texas. And he looked over there and he says, well, Bill, he says, I see bright light behind you and I'm feeling this bliss, this love, this energy coming from there. Like, okay. And then there was a young lawyer, a guy named Brian, that was sitting not too far from me. And he looked at me wide-eyed and said, Bill, you're not going to believe what I see. And I said, no, trust me. Go ahead. Tell me what you see. And he says, I see Sri Yukteswar. And for those of you who read the Autobiography of a Yogi, you know that Sri Yukteswar was the guru of Paramahansa Yogananda. So if you're in Self-Realization Fellowship or one of those organizations, you're pretty familiar with him. He's written some amazing books and things. Anyway, so he says, I see Sri Yukteswar standing behind you with his hands behind his back, kind of like our guru does when he's looking at you. And he's staring at you with great love. And I said, yes, Brian, that's exactly what I see as well. I turned around and it was still there. And there was this flesh and blood Sri Yukteswar standing just feet from where I was sitting. Brian could see him clearly. I could see him clearly. Mark, the guy from Texas, could see the light and feel the love. Yet the other person saw nothing. Interesting, but I really think that, like with children who believe and have open hearts, the innocence of pure love, when you have a certain surrender to the reality of the world and are more accepting of what is. In other words, you accept the possibilities and you believe, then these doors are open to you and you can see. Therefore, if you have a bunch of people someplace and some child sees an angel of God or sees Jesus Christ or whatever, or Virgin Mary, they probably do. But everybody else with intellectual mind tries to get a handle on it, and they don't see it. And I didn't understand this concept. And then I watched a TV show, uh, Brain Games, I think it was called, and it talked about how UCLA did this experiment where they brought all these students in and had these students sit down with a pad and pencil, and they were supposed to keep track of several dancers that were on the stage, and they were supposed to just focus on the dancers, and a grade depended on it, and determine how many times that they twirled around and switched partners or did something. So they had to think about what these people were doing on the stage, and that's all they were supposed to focus on. And it was a 2 minute dance and went on and finished. And the professor gets up there and he says, "Okay, what'd you see?" And they all said, "Well, they changed partners 10 times or 12 times or whatever." And he says, "No, anybody else see anything else?" And nobody raised their hand. There was about 30 students. And finally, he showed a video clip, and it showed a man in a gorilla suit come out and go circle around each of the dancing groups and then leave. And nobody in the group saw the man in the gorilla suit. In fact, they didn't believe it till he showed the video, which means their belief caused them not to see something that was happening because their mind wouldn't accept that was out of the ordinary. It was just like when Christopher Columbus and his ships sailed into the New World, and the Indians, the Native Americans on the island, uh, looked out to sea. They didn't see the ships. They've never seen them before. They didn't believe in them. They had no concept of them. Therefore, they sailed in and virtually were invisible to the people who were there. I've heard that story several times from historians, and I can never understand that. But after this experience at the ashram, where several people were there, and depending on their level of acceptance or belief or open-heartedness, they saw a vision of light, felt love, saw nothing, or they saw what I saw. I actually saw Sri Yukteswar in the flesh and blood. So that was a wonderful experience for a couple of reasons. One, it validated what I was seeing and I wasn't crazy. And two, it gave me great insight into why some people see things and others don't. I really think it's about having a childlike acceptance. It's about love. But it's also about the vibrations. You know, if you meditate, you bring your vibrations up at a certain level. If you're prayerful, if you're in that state of mind and calmness, sometimes you see things other people don't because their mind is going wild and they're not calm. So that happened in 2011, January. And I came home and experienced excruciating pain, had operations and all kinds of stuff. I was seriously in bad shape. But when I had that vision of Sri Yukteswar as my last experience in India at the ashram, it was truly a blessing. And I felt greatly loved. And I knew I was going to be taken care of. And through the kindness of my guru and his wife, I was taken care of and I was able to come back to America.